Thank you. Y'all are really social distancing today. Not a lot of you here. Look, I want to thank y'all for coming out today, and I want to wish you a good afternoon. We have FEMA Region 6 Director Tony Robinson, who's here with us. He's going to speak to you in just a moment. But I want to, again, welcome him to Baton Rouge and tell him how much we appreciate him and all of his folks at FEMA and the work that they've been doing with us. Earlier today, we had FEMA Administrator Peter Gaynor with us, and we were coordinating with him on various requests and needs and trying to line up certain things in advance. And it's always helpful to have that level of communication with the very top of an organization. So we appreciate Administrator Gaynor. Yesterday, General Wascom, the director of GOSEP, and I were able to go to Lake Charles. We had a meeting with the president and certain members of his staff and cabinet officials, like Acting Secretary Chad Wolf at the Department of Homeland Security. Also had Peter Gaynor there from FEMA. Tony Robinson was there, and a number of other folks, and we appreciated that opportunity. And I was able to personally thank him both for the pre-landfall disaster declaration that he issued, but also for the major disaster declaration that he turned around within just a few hours of us making that request. And so we really appreciated that. So I think he signed that on Friday night. I was able also to have a conversation with the president, and I want to thank Senator Kennedy, because he was there with me. We told the president how important it was that our National Guard get the Title 32 extension at 100% federal cost share, and we found out today that that has in fact happened. So I want to thank the president for that, and I want to thank Senator Kennedy for his work in trying to get the president to grant us that assistance. That will last through, I think, September the 30th. But that is very helpful for us. And when I tell you in just a few minutes what the National Guard is doing, in addition to what they're doing in COVID, you'll see how important that is. With respect to the disaster declaration, we do have a little new information for you today. The damage assessments continue. We had originally requested a major disaster declaration for 23 parishes in the state of Louisiana that would entitle those parishes for individual assistance. So we now have an additional parish. Initially, the president authorized 5 parishes. That has been increased to 6 today, because Vernon Parish was added today. So that makes Allen Parish, Beauregard Parish, Calcasieu, Cameron, Jefferson, Davis, and as I mentioned, Vernon parishes. They've all been approved now for individual assistance. I believe that we're going to have some more added. We're working on that. We have to do our damage assessments. We have to collect information, memorialize it, get it to FEMA, and they will make those determinations. And they look at the concentration of damages in a given parish. They look at the special populations there. Maybe it's elderly people. Maybe it's a percentage of people who've been impacted who are low to moderate income, and the degree to which insurance coverage is available to address those damages. All of those things and more go into that determination. Suffice it to say, we appreciate the fact that we have the 6 parishes covered, and we're going to keep working to try to get as many of the rest covered with individual assistance as possible. Anyone who sustained loss in Hurricane Laura can begin applying for assistance today by registering online. So these are the parishes that I just told you about. They can go online to disasterassistance.gov, disasterassistance.gov, or they can call 1-800-621-FEMA. That's 1-800-621-3362. For the hearing and speech impaired, they can call 1-800-462-7585. 1-800-462-7585. Those toll-free numbers will operate from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. Central Standard Time, 7 days a week until further notice. We know that some individuals who began applying received notices that their applications were denied. That was really in error, and error may not be the right word, but what FEMA was trying to communicate with those individuals, if you read the next sentence, is that additional documentation is needed, primarily related to insurance. And so those individuals who receive denials should not regard that as a denial. Just read on through that, get the information related to insurance coverage, and so really those applications should be deemed pending. I will tell you, and I think Mr. Robinson's got some more information on this in just a moment, but we've had an awful lot of individuals who are registering with FEMA, and that is a good thing. In fact, Tony, I think it's your time now, if you'll come up. And if you've got questions for Tony Robinson, if you would just wait till after I'm finished with the prepared remarks, and then he'll be available for your questions.
Thank you, Governor, and we certainly do appreciate your leadership, the team here at the state and the work they've been doing, and all the local first responders and officials that were out there taking the right precautionary measures and continue to work in the recovery process. As the Governor said, the first step in the recovery process for individuals who have insurance is file your insurance. Insurance is going to be a much better way for you to recover. FEMA's assistance is really focused on making your home safe, secure, and livable. So we do some of the basic repairs, we'll fund that, but we're not going to be an insurance policy to be able to make you fully whole. So insurance is the best way to go. File your insurance. If you're in the 6 parishes that are declared now, Cameron, Calcasieu, Beauregard, Jeff Davis, Allen, or Vernon, you can apply for assistance like the Governor talked about. You can do it via the website, disasterassistance.gov, at our toll-free number, or on our FEMA app. One of the things we have heard is people are getting a denial information on either the web or through a letter. That's really a way that we protect you so that we don't duplicate benefit from your insurance company. But what we want you to do is once you've contacted your insurance company and you get the settlement documentation, you can either send that in to us by the information that was provided to you when you registered, or you can upload it in the FEMA app. From there, we can take that information to determine what programs you're eligible for, or potentially refer you to other federal agencies that may have assistance for which you may be eligible. I do want to just 2 more things. One is we have had 52,581 people register for assistance, so we appreciate those who've got out and done that. To date, we've done over 200 inspections on those homes, and we've provided over $650,000 in assistance to date. We're also working with the state to provide financial assistance to help them do non-congregate sheltering, to put people up in hotel rooms. I applaud the state. They've done a great job in that. And we're also continuing to provide financial assistance and resources to help with commodities, generators, and other things to help these communities get back and operational. That's all I have.
Thank you, Tony. And this is the first time that we've ever used non-congregant sheltering. And we know it's the right thing to do because of COVID. Principally, we're talking about hotels and motel rooms. But that was made available because of work that Tony did with General Wascom months ago to look at how we would handle sheltering needs in a COVID environment. And so there was a lot of planning done for that. And then it was part of the President's declaration the other night. And so we really appreciate that. I will tell you, logistically, it is much, much harder from a transportation perspective, but also from a nutrition perspective and just the overall management of a sheltering operation when you put people up in hotels. And I'm going to give you those numbers in just a few moments. I told you about the National Guard, and under the leadership of General Waddell, we have guardsmen, airmen just doing tremendous work across the state of Louisiana, and they've been doing it for a long time. Because we've had about 1,200 guardsmen on duty since the start of COVID. And they've been doing community testing, they've been running food banks, they've been managing warehouses, delivering PPE and ventilators, all sorts of things. Today, they're running 27 points of distribution across the state of Louisiana, distributing to the public things like food and water and ice and tarps in the impacted parishes. So those are 27 pods in the following parishes: Allen and Beauregard, Calcasieu, Caldwell, Catahoula, DeSoto, Grant, Jackson, Jefferson Davis, Lincoln, Morehouse, Natchitoches, Ouachita, Sabine, Vernon, and Wynne. And so if you're in those parishes and you want to know where the points of distribution are and the hours of operation, please call your Office of Emergency Preparedness. You can get the contact information if you go to getagameplan.org. There's a contact list for every parish. Call your OEP. They will tell you where you can go to receive these items. Today, Lang is the Louisiana National Guard, 6,241 airmen and soldiers on duty. And because of the work collectively, just on the commodity side, they've delivered 893,000 bottles of water, 473,000 meals, more than 36,000 bags of ice, and about 14,000 tarps. But they're also working a lot of other security missions. They're doing route clearance. They are delivering generators. They're doing just tremendous work all across the state, and we appreciate that. The generators are needed because we obviously still have considerable power outages around the state. This is the number one priority for most people who want to resume some normalcy in their life with the convenience and comfort of an air conditioning system. And that is important. And by the way, it's been extremely hot, and the Weather Service is briefing us that as people are without electricity and without the ability to make ice and cool their water and so forth, and they're probably outside working to clean up and repair their homes, they need to make sure they're staying hydrated and taking breaks and that sort of thing. It's really important. But it's more than about air conditioning. The power is essential for hospitals and nursing homes and dialysis. It's essential for water systems and so many other things, and so it really is a very, very high priority right now. And what I want to tell the people of Louisiana is that I got a report today. Entergy has more than 13,000 individuals in Louisiana from 29 different states helping to restore electricity and repair their lines. CLECO has over 2,600. We know that the various co-ops have more than 700 additional people in. So statewide, it's more than 17,000 linemen who are here making these repairs. That is the most ever. And we also had the most prepositioned in Louisiana before landfall of the storm that we've ever had. And they're working extremely hard. But that is not to say that power is going to be restored to all areas of Louisiana very soon. And that's because the damage to the system is extensive. We have, however, gone from a peak of more than 600,000 outages to, at 3 o'clock today, was 368,000. Now, I want to make sure you understand that doesn't mean there are 368,000 people without power. There are more than that. That means there's 368,000 service locations without power. So that includes businesses, but it also includes homes. But that is a big number of outages. It's going to be a long and difficult process to restore power. I know they're going to work just as quickly as they possibly can. But just to give you an idea of the damages, yesterday the Public Service Commission reported to me that in its initial damage assessment, just in the Lake Charles area, that there were 172 towers that had been damaged or destroyed. 70 of those were the very large 300-foot towers that were rated for 140-mile-an-hour winds. And I'm thinking, wow, that's terrible. That's going to take a long time. Today, they did a more complete damage assessment, and they are now reporting more than 500 transmission towers damaged or destroyed in the Lake Charles area. So that just gives you some sense of the work that's going to have to be done in order to get power back into Lake Charles. It's our expectation, we're already starting to see it, that from points further north, because as you remember, Monroe, Ruston, those areas, all the way down through Cameron Parish, if you just followed the track of the hurricane, all of those areas had lost power. They're coming on relatively quickly up there, but as they move further south, they're going to find that more damage has been done. It's going to take longer. I know this is very difficult, but we are asking for the patience of the people of Louisiana. Allow these work crews to get where they need to go and do their work, and to do it safely. Give them the space that they need. Try not to go near their down trucks or the down lines as well. Utility workers are, in fact, first responders, and we want them to be safe, and their jobs are inherently dangerous on the best day. We don't want to make that more complicated than it needs to be. With respect to the Department of Transportation, we're also working to get roads back open. DOTD asked me to remind motorists to treat intersections where signals are out and not working as a four-way stop. Be patient and be courteous. Don't drive distracted, and don't drive impaired. Of course, those are always good habits to get into. Don't drive distracted or impaired. Watch out for DOTD employees and other first responders, including those power crews that we were talking about. There are a lot of people out and about. And it's also, if you don't need to be out there, don't do it, because there's enough congestion as it is. And I know there's a temptation to go out and do a lot of sightseeing after a storm. But if you don't have to, don't do that. So that we can get people who need to be there, get them there safely and a little more quickly. There's some congestion out there, and so we're encouraging people to go to 511la.org to make sure that they know what the road conditions are like, what roads are going to be closed, and that's real-time update at 511la.org. As far as sheltering goes, a new reception center opened at Zephyr Field in Metairie yesterday. The reception center in Baton Rouge has been closed. Right now, we have 8,962 individuals in non-congregant shelters in the state of Louisiana. And basically, these are 45 hotels across the state, 29 of which are in New Orleans. We also have confirmed 5,875 individuals in Texas-sponsored non-congregant shelters, which are hotels. And we really believe that that number could be as high as 8,000 individuals. And we're working to get more information about that. But we do want to thank the state of Texas for being a good neighbor to our people while they're in need. Similar to what we did during Hurricane Harvey 3 years ago, or after the hurricane, when we did search and rescue, and I think we sheltered about 3,000 Texans for a while until they could get home. But we really appreciate the folks in Texas doing that. Anybody who still has a need for, question about shelters, they should text LA Shelter to 898-211, and they'll be given information about where they should go. LA Shelter to 898-211. Going to nutrition now, those impacted by Laura can register for DSNAP now and be ready if DSNAP becomes available in their community. So we don't have DSNAP turned on yet anywhere. Typically that happens about 2 weeks after the storm. I will tell you we're tentatively targeting the 10th of September. If that happens, if that changes, we'll certainly let you know. But individuals who are regular recipients of SNAP do not have to register for DSNAP. That's going to happen automatically for you. Other individuals who may be eligible for DSNAP If you pre-registered, that will help. You go to dcfs.la.gov/dsnap. All SNAP recipients will receive SNAP benefits early. You'll get those on Tuesday, September the 1st. That's earlier than you would normally get that reload on your card. If you are not currently at the maximum benefit for your household size, you will also get a COVID emergency allotment to bring you to the maximum. That is scheduled for September the 18th. Those who are impacted by Laura and lost food purchased with SNAP benefits because of the power outage. So you had food that needed to be refrigerated or frozen. And the power outage lasted at least 24 hours, may be eligible for replacement benefits. You don't need to do anything right now. Sit tight, await further information, and we do have the ability to cross-reference our SNAP rolls with power outage locations that we get from the Public Service Commission, but you're going to be given more information about that in the near future. I keep telling everybody we can't forget about the public health emergency, so I want to go through the COVID numbers. You know, we didn't report yesterday because it was a Saturday, so we last reported on Friday. Today we're reporting 1,645 new cases since Friday. I do want to point out that 532 of those are from a single laboratory, and many of those test results are backlogged from as far back as July. So if you take those out, we've got about 1,100 cases that would be typically reported over the 2-day period. And of the 40,000 tests we're reporting today, about 30,000 of those would be normally reported for this interval. So I'm going to say that we've got 1,100 cases on 30,000 tests if you just want to look at what we should be reporting right now. Sadly, we're also reporting 27 new deaths for a total of 4,768. And just to put things in perspective, for whatever this may be worth, and we have 14 confirmed deaths from the hurricane, we have 400 times that much from COVID. So the public health emergency is real. I will tell you that the report on Friday and today increased the number of people in hospitals across the state of Louisiana with COVID. Those increases were relatively small, but it is 2 reports in a row, and so, you know, I hate to think that we have a trend in that direction, and I'm not going to call it a trend yet, but that's something that we're watching very closely, especially since we have fewer tests that we administered over the last week as we prepared for, experienced, and then started recovering from Hurricane Laura. So the testing is not going to be as robust over the next several days as those reports come in, and so we're going to be keeping a very careful eye on our hospitals, as I said before, we hope that that doesn't start a trend. We did have one additional storm-related death this morning, and it came from a carbon monoxide poisoning, and that came from a generator. So that means of the 14 confirmed Hurricane Laura-related deaths, 8 of them carbon monoxide poisoning from generators. We're asking people to please exercise the appropriate caution and don't run these generators in your home. Don't run them in a basement, a crawl space. Don't run them in a shed next to your house or a garage. Make sure that it's at least 20 feet away from your house in a very well ventilated area, not right underneath a window. And if for any reason you start to feel dizzy or lightheaded, get out and get fresh air immediately. We also ask that you not fill a generator with fuel while it is still hot. Turn it off, let it cool down, and then fill the refrigerator. The generator. As I mentioned before, heat's going to be a concern over the coming days, so make sure that if you're involved in a cleanup, or if you're just sitting in a house that's extremely hot because you don't have electricity, Drink as much water as you can, and if you are working, take frequent breaks. People also need to be aware of boil water notices. So we've had a lot of water systems that lost pressure because they lost power. Even if power is restored for some period of time, and even when the pressure gets back the way it's supposed to be, you really need to boil the water in order for it to be safe. Yesterday, we had 124 water systems across the state under storm-related boil water advisories, and that was affecting about 400,000 people. And also, as of last night, 183 water systems were completely out. That affected approximately 188,000 individuals across the state of Louisiana. So to the degree that you can, listen to the radio, TV broadcasts, stay aware of boil water advisories, and any other information related to the weather or instructions coming from local officials about what you should be doing in the aftermath of Hurricane Laura. If you have questions about the safety of your water, you can contact your water system. If you don't have that information, you can always call 211. The LDH, the Department of Health, updates its list of water systems outages and boil advisories on its website at ldh.la.gov/safe drinking water. Before I conclude my remarks, I do want to go over tomorrow's state office closures. They're going to remain closed tomorrow in 20 parishes. The Division of Administration, Jay Darden, as Commissioner, will be making a formal announcement, but I did want people to know, and basically this follows where we have significant outages of power. But those parishes are Allen, Cameron, Calcasieu, Beauregard, Jefferson Davis, Catahoula, LaSalle, Grant, Wynne, Natchitoches, Vernon, Rapides, Sabine, Jackson, Lincoln, Caldwell, Union, Ouachita, Red River, and Concordia. So we have a long road ahead of us. This recovery is going to take a while, and it's going to take a lot of effort. And that's why we're happy to have the cooperation of our federal partners. We're working with every agency in the state and working with locals as well, with the private sector, the nonprofit sector, with the faith community. This is going to take a tremendous team effort. A very significant percentage of our state's population's lives are completely upside down this afternoon. Businesses have been damaged or destroyed. Homes have been damaged or destroyed. Schools and churches. And so I'm going to ask that we all do what we can to make our fellow citizens as comfortable as they can be under these circumstances, that we lift one another up in prayer, and that we make the very best possible decisions. And we're going to be working really, really hard on the power outages, on the water systems, on the housing, both the emergency housing and then the permanent housing piece. But none of this is going to be easy. It's not going to happen as quickly as most people would like, for sure. But I can assure you we're going to have the very best people from around the country and here in the state of Louisiana doing everything we can to advance our recovery. And we will recover. Louisiana is full of very good, generous, decent, hardworking people, faithful people. And we are going to recover. We do have a web page that will serve as a one-stop shop for recovery resources. The site is hurricanelaura.la.gov. It launched today. We will continue to update it over time, but it's hurricanelaura.la.gov. And with that, I'll take your questions, and I'll remind you that you can address your questions to any members of the team who are here. Yes, ma'am.
What kind of conversations do you have with the President while he was
Well, the question is really, I was able to spend a fair amount of time with the president over several different stops, and the questions range from how did this hurricane compare to others, and he knew it on the way down here it was a very strong hurricane, but the fact of the matter is it's the strongest hurricane to make landfall in southwest Louisiana ever. It is the strongest hurricane to make landfall in Louisiana in 160 years. And I said it yesterday, I don't know how they measured hurricanes in 1856. But that's the last one we think that rivaled this one. I will tell you just the sheer awesome amount of devastation, the catastrophic devastation was something that really got his attention. And he asked me, what do you need first? What do you need the most of and first? We were able to talk about the Title 32 for the National Guard, which is incredibly important. We talked about generators and water systems. We talked about the devastation done to the electric grid, all of those things. But he did remark on the resiliency of the people of Louisiana and how determined he knows that they are to rebuild better and stronger, and to stay in Louisiana. He was very appreciative of all the volunteer work going on with the United Way of Southwest Louisiana, but so much volunteers, especially in the faith-based community. He mentioned all of those things to me and more. And then, of course, he understands this is just the beginning. And over time, we're gonna transition into different levels of recovery with permanent housing programs that we're going to have to stand up. But right now, it's all about the immediate response. It's hard. Sometimes we lose track of time, but this hurricane actually made landfall on Thursday and didn't leave until late on Thursday. It's Sunday. But we've got a lot of work to do. He appreciated that, and he made sure that I knew that the agencies he's got at his disposal will be working hand in hand with us in order to make that recovery happen faster for the people of Louisiana. Yes, sir.
On the power, in light of the numbers, should people still assume that we're talking about several weeks or a month? And obviously the water that was being handled, that, but even if I've got power, if I don't have enough water, I can come back to my house. Just touch on this, what kind of power.
Yeah, and there's no good answer for everyone, because I do believe the power will be restored in the northernmost portions of our state that still lack power much quicker than in southwest Louisiana. And I have a meeting with Entergy tomorrow, for example, and they're going to give me a lot better information, more up-to-date information that will include their timeline for restoring power if things go as they anticipate. So we're going to have more information on this forthcoming. With respect to water, what I want to caution people about is there are water systems that are down strictly because they didn't have power. So once they get the power, they're back up and running, their pressure's normal, and things can proceed as if there had not been any interruption. We have other water systems in the state of Louisiana that received damage separate and apart from just the loss of power. And so these systems, and I will tell you, there are more than this, and I should never start naming them, but we're particularly concerned about Sulphur, Lake Charles, DeRidder, Leesville, and there's going to be some others where there's actually damage that has to be repaired in addition to restoring the power. And so we're trying to get those assessments done just as quickly as possible, get those repairs made. And look, in some of these systems, and just to be able to provide the basics required for life and to be able to fight fires and so forth, they may be brought back up on a temporary basis as we continue to make the permanent fixes that are going to be required. But we have entire communities of southwest Louisiana where trees didn't break off, they were uprooted, and as those trees were uprooted, they broke distribution lines for water, for example. And so there's a lot of work that has to happen, and the first piece of this is a detailed, comprehensive assessment by water system as to what their needs are. And again, the good news is most of our systems really just lost power, but that is not true for all of them. So the bottom line is, I cannot tell you today that based on where you live, it's going to be 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks for power, or these number of days for water. I do hope you will get specific information for where you live from your local authorities, from your local power company, and your water system. But what you can be assured of is we're doing everything we can to get the resources to the people who run these systems so that they can get them up and running just as quickly as possible. And look, the Public Service Commission regulates the electricity system here. They're doing a tremendous job under very difficult circumstances, and that's who I get my information from. So they're actually directing resources there. We're directing resources to the water systems and to others. Yes, ma'am.
Based on what you've seen with college, what is the best way that people can help?
Yeah, well, that is a great question. The best way that people can help right now is through simple things like if your church can put together an 18-wheeler full of water. We can't have too much water right now, and then send it down and have it distributed. There are relief funds that are being created. I know that I was fortunate enough this morning to be able to go to church, and there was a second collection for that. I know that's happening all across the state and really all across the country. But we can help in so many ways. Just be mindful, however, that we're in this COVID environment, because what we typically do to help is we bring people into our homes and we feed them, and maybe we can still do those things, but we need to do them socially distanced and with masks on. I will tell you, the faith-based community has always been tremendous. It is being tremendous again across Louisiana, and they are coordinating their activities to a very large extent through the Governor's Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness, so that we can direct those to the communities where they're needed the most. We're very appreciative of that. Samaritan's Purse is operating in Louisiana in a very robust way. We appreciate that. So there's an awful lot of help going on, but we do have to be careful to, as best you can, coordinate that help so that you don't show up unannounced and unanticipated, and really you can't deliver the help, but you may be somewhat of a hindrance just because of people trying to move around and folks trying to get to where they need to be. So coordinate it as best you can, and maybe if you're a church or a civic organization in one part of the state, find a sister entity of a similar entity in Southwest Louisiana or in any of the damaged areas, and then call them and say, what is it that your community needs the most of right now, and then work directly with them for that to happen. But it's a great question. Another question or two, if you've got them? Well, I want to thank you all again, and I want to thank Tony Robinson for being here from FEMA. This is a tough situation, and we are fully aware of it. And if you haven't laid eyes on the devastation, words are not going to be adequate for me to convey to you just how catastrophic it was. But it is very, very catastrophic. It is widespread, and it's going to take quite a while to recover. But we can make people's lives better today. We can't get them back into their homes in many cases today, but we can make their lives better, and even better tomorrow. And every day we just need to be showing some progress, and that's going to be our goal here. And I can tell you we're going to work around the clock, nonstop, with all of our partners, federal and local, in order to make that happen. We anticipate a press briefing here tomorrow at about 4 p.m. I do want to finish with this. Tomorrow we're going to resume much of our testing across the state with community testing and surge testing with the National Guard. And we really do have to get that going again. We're going to try to incorporate testing into our points of delivery so that individuals who are coming through to get food and water and ice have an opportunity to test. We're going to try to incorporate it with the sheltering that we've got going on, because I want to remind people that we were red as a state for new cases of coronavirus exceeding 100 per 100,000 people over the previous 7 weeks. And unfortunately, and of course there's no good place for a hurricane to hit, But we have tens of thousands of people from southwest Louisiana who are scattered across the state. That happens to be the region that had the highest positivity at the time the storm hit. So we really need to get back on our testing so that we can sense what may be happening out there. I pray that we don't have another increase. But we would want to increase our testing anyway if nobody had been evacuated, because 3 weeks ago, K through 12 schools resumed. We've had higher education campuses reopening over the last couple of weeks. And so getting this testing program back up is incredibly important. And everything we do with respect to COVID has to be mindful of the fact that we're responding to and recovering from Laura. And everything we're doing to try to respond to and recover from Laura has to be mindful of the fact that we're in a COVID environment. And as if we didn't have enough on our plate as it was. But I'm confident that the people of Louisiana are going to continue to do what's required and necessary, and we're going to move forward. So we'll see you all tomorrow afternoon, and we want to thank you all for continuing to cover the hurricane as well as the public health emergency. And thank you, sir. It's a good workout you got today. I tried to slow down on those parachutes because